Hi there, I'm Catrice.
And I'm Carly.
And we're the Community Activation and Learning Officers at Melton City Council.
Usually our team work in Council's community centres delivering low cost or free programs for all ages.
In light of the current situation, we're not able to deliver these programs to you face to face. To ensure our communities still have access to these programs, we're providing you with a series of online videos.
These free videos will keep you and your family learning through isolation and beyond. We hope you enjoy them and we can't wait to see you back in our centres soon.
Hi, it's Miss Sallie from Miss Sallie's Cuisine here. I'm doing a 5-recipe, 5-ingredient cooking series for the Melton City Council Learning Directory. And today we're going to make curry ham noodles. With this recipe, we're going to use ham, but you could, if you don't eat ham or you don't like ham, you could use chicken. So where it says ham in the recipe, if you don't want to use that, just replace it with chicken. They're both interplaceable. So I'm just going to cut my spring onions finely first. So I've just taken the outer layer off of this and I've cut the ends off them. And we're just going to finely chop these. So you don't want really big chunks like this because it doesn't taste nice when you get a big mouthful of onion. So we're just going to do them nice and finely. So probably about a couple of millimetres, maybe 3 millimetres. So that's our spring onions. We've also got some noodles. I've boiled a pot of water here. It's got salt in it. And I've just turned it down until I'm ready to put my noodles into the saucepan of water. I'm just going to, because these noodles are actually fresh noodles, I'm just going to put this into the pot of water and let them sit there for a few minutes. They don't actually really need cooking. They just need heating through and they just need to be broken up because they're all stuck together. You could use 3-minute noodles for this recipe. It's quite fine to do that as well. But if you were going to do that, you need to cook the noodles to the packet instructions, which is usually putting them in boiling water for a couple of minutes. So for our next step, we're going to take our ham or our chicken if we're using chicken, and we're just going to finely chop this. I've just got a sliced ham off the bone. I guess you could use bacon if you had bacon as well. So I'm just cutting this into relatively small pieces. So you can see it's randomly cut, just like that. So I'm just going to put the fry pan on the heat. I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. You could use canola or vegetable oil. You can use the spray or the oil. All right, we're just going to put our ham into our fry pan and let that sizzle. Just stir it around a little bit, and while that's cooking, just keep an eye on it, but don't stir it constantly around. Take your 2 eggs, break them into a bowl. And just with a fork, I haven't got a fork to hand, so I'm going to use a whisk. So you can use a whisk if you want. Just normally I would use a fork, but I haven't got a fork easily available to me at the moment. So just gently mix those. It doesn't have to be nice and frothy, it just has to be combined like that. Okay, the ham has now started to sizzle. So I'm going to put my curry powder into the pan. and just sprinkle it around over your ham. And then just mix those together. So you just want the curry to have a nice fragrance to it, and the ham should be starting to go golden, even though it's hard to tell the ham's going golden when there's yellow curry powder over it. Just cook it for a few minutes in your pan. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to drain the noodles now. So I'm just going to grab my calendar. And before I do that, I'm just going to take roughly a cup of water from the noodle water, because you'll need that. You might need that later once we've put the noodles and the meat and eggs together, just to make it a bit moist. So I'm just going to take my saucepan over and drain this noodles. And I'm just going to let those sit there for the moment. So once the ham has cooked a little bit, we're just going to push this to the side, like so, like this. Don't worry if you don't have all the curry powder over at one side. And then we're going to put I'm just going to put a little more oil in here. When you use the spray, sometimes you need to reapply. So we're just going to tip our eggs in here. Get as much of the egg out of your bowl as you can. And it should sort of just spread out naturally. Just let it spread naturally over the pan. And if it goes into your meat, don't worry about it, because it's going to end all up together anyway. So we're just going to cook that for a minute or so. So it's a bit like an omelette. So we're just going to let it, so you can see how it's nearly all cooked together. There's only a very small amount of liquid still. So it cooks really quickly. So you need to have all your ingredients ready at hand when you're making this recipe. So now that it's more or less dried, I'm just going to use the wooden spoon. You could use an egg lifter. I guess if you're not worried about your non-stick fry pan, you could use a fork and a knife as well. But just gently break those bits of egg up into smaller pieces, and then start mingling it together with your egg and your bacon together. Like that. And if you need to break up some of that egg a bit more, just use a pair of tongs or a fork. Okay, and then we're going to add our noodles. So just take your drained noodles. If you wanted vegetables in this, you could put some beans or some peas in here. You could serve it with some tomatoes on the side. Or you can just eat it like this, which is good too. So we're just going to toss our noodles around in our fry pan. So normally, if you've got a good enough hand, you can do it like that. Sometimes it works, sometimes you end up with bits on your stove. Whoops. So just smush it around the best you can. Make sure everything's combined. Now at this stage it's really dry, and you want it a little moist. So we're just going to put a little bit of this water in that came out of our noodles. Now it'll steam and it'll disappear, it'll evaporate really quickly. And that technique is called deglazing. So effectively you're getting all the flavours mingled, and you just want to make sure that you don't have too much water in the pan at this point, and you might just want to put a little bit more in, and that's probably all you need. So I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute. So we're now ready to plate up our meal. So just you can either serve this on different plates. For today's class, I'm just going to put it on one plate and then people can help themselves. So I'm just going to gently put the noodles, an egg and ham onto a plate. Just spread it out nicely. Just get your spring onions, sprinkle them on. I'm not sure that I'm going to use all of my spring onions. I think that'll do. And if you wanted to use some sesame seeds, you could use some sesame seeds. Just like that, just a sprinkle. So I don't think you need salt and pepper in this dish to season it, because you've already got the curry, you've got spring onions, you've got the egg and the meat if you're using it, and the noodles. So I think it'll be tasty enough. If you want to season it, you can do that separately. So there's your noodle plate for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Be sure to follow the Melton City Council Learning Directory Facebook page to ensure you don't miss the next one.